strictly for the culture. Brothers and sisters, you have seen the t-shirts, the hats, the hoodies, the mugs in the hands of some of your favorite pro wrestling stars, podcasters, and influencers out there. And now it's time. Visit strictlyfortheculture.ca and you too can be part of the movement. Bigger than sweatshirts and commercial success, Strictly for the Culture aims to build with like-minded people and elevate their position in the world through knowledge, self-love, and a desire to unite. So what are you waiting on? Visit strictlyfortheculture.ca. Do it for the love. Do it for the knowledge. Most importantly, folks, do it strictly for the culture.
Locked in.
Look at what we have here, folks.
To the only show that matters.
The cream of the crop.
Duke loves wrestling.
And there is no one that does it better than
your host.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
The Duke.
And I'm all out of bubblegum.
Brothers and sisters, welcome back. Welcome back to another edition of the Devon and The Duke podcast. It is a limited edition show hosted by your main man, Duke Loves Wrestling. Of course, the Hall of Famer himself, one of the greatest of all time, Mr. Devon Dudley. How you doing there, Devon?
I'm doing all right. A little tired, but I'm living.
Yeah, well, listen, not only you living, you're thriving. What is this big event that you have coming up this Sunday down there in Florida, man? I'm so excited about this. Melbourne, Florida. Devon Dudley is doing the what?
A lot of times, people are saying Devon get the tables, but it's not really Devon get the tables anymore. It's pretty much Devon get the cigars. So there's going to be a new cigar coming out that they're gonna, it's gonna be my own line of cigars, and I'm very happy to say that I'm very pleased that this is coming out. It's a way of doing things outside of pro wrestling, but yet not leaving, but just wanting to be able to do things on my own, my own terms, and not too many people can honestly say that they can do that. So I'm trying to get my hands into everything outside of the wrestling business. Not saying that I'm trying to leave fully, but just have enough stuff to where I can take a break for a couple of years, come back, take a break, come back, do stuff like that. Because again, out of sight, out of mind, sometimes makes the people want to see you. But when you're there down their throats all the time, it's like, ugh, when's this guy ever going to go away? And I'm trying to prevent that from happening. So it's going to be on Sunday, October 27th. And we're going to be doing a Halloween contest as well. And the winner of that Halloween contest, the prize is $500. So we're going to be doing that. There's also going to be a car show that's going to be there as well. So check out some of the new cars and how these guys put these cars together and all the fun stuff. So it's going to be a great moment. The festivities starts. It started at 3 p.m. at Fairway Cigar Lounge in Melbourne, Florida. So come on out and, check it out.
Check it out indeed. Once again, Fairway Cigar Lounge. Now that's over there at 6729 Colonnade Ave, Unit 108 in Melbourne, Florida. Folks, you can check out Testify Devon over there on Instagram for the flyer and more information. But come on, you definitely want to be there. The fact that you can win $500 for that costume contest is exciting. But more importantly, you get to see our main man, Devon Dudley, and try out his own cigar line as part of this Natura Cigar company. So, pretty cool. Big things going on for the Hall of Famer Devon Dudley right in time for the holiday season, right?
Listen, I got 7 kids I got to support, so I need the money.
You know something? You just made me think of something, man. And I've been meaning to ask you this. So this is fun because...
But hold on. Before you go any further, just remember, I'm not Nick Cannon. So, I don't have 14 kids.
So wait, you're not trying to populate the whole world like Genghis Khan, like Nick Cannon is doing there?
Yeah, no, him or Bret Hart's family, God rest, Stu and Helen Hart. And of course, my main man, Rikishi, every time I turn around, Rikishi got another kid. I'm trying to catch up to him, but he's going too fast for me.
Yeah, you can say that again. Sure. Absolutely. But you got enough kids for a lot of us put together, man. My goodness. I'm telling you.
Listen, the average now, I think it's 3 or 4, and that's saying too much for a lot of people. So, but the fact of the matter is, I had the twins when I was 22, 23. Then their mom and I, we had Matthew. Right after that, then we unfortunately we didn't make it, and so we got divorced. I got remarried, and met my fourth son, Preston's mom, and now Preston's 16. So we got the twins at 29, about to be 30. Matthew at 23. We have Preston at 16, about to be 17. And then of course, I got 3 more kids from a third marriage, and they are 6, 4, and 8 months.
That is incredible. That is absolutely incredible, man. God bless you.
but when people ask me, they go, 7 kids, good God. That must wear you out. I'm like, yeah, you got to remember, half of them are already grown. I had them all when I was in my 20s, basically. The last 3 I got now. So it wasn't as big as people, they make it out. Because again, the first 4 I had when I was like in my 20s and in my early 30s. So and they're grown. So it's not like I can claim them anymore on my taxes. Damn.
See, but the other part that too, you've never stopped in terms of having a break. Like, yep, we had a kid. The kid, becomes an adult. Now they leave the nest. Now we got the house to ourselves. You've never had that situation since you started.
No, because I love kids, and when they get to crying and screaming and all of that, sure, you get frustrated. I get frustrated, but at the same token, I look at it, their first words, when they walk for the first time, all those first little things that just melt your heart, and that helps me with them, So I love them, and not to mention, it makes me the person that I am today. I'm not out there wilding out or whatever because I know that my kids are important and they need to have a role model that's going to show them right from wrong.
Deep. Very, very deep. That's good stuff, man. And we know that you wonderful listeners out there, you've been appreciating hearing about this side of Devon Dudley, the family man, and his philosophies on life and what have you. It's really been something special, the way that folks have taken to our conversations on the show, especially about who you are as a man and as a husband and a father and all that good stuff there. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I wanted to ask you, because I've been wondering about this. I have a lot of great conversations with folks in the industry, yourself included. I love talking to the folks who are just breaking in, the folks who are on the cusp of becoming, that star or superstar when they sign their first big contract and they go from having to eat tuna fish and share hotel rooms to now they can kind of loosen up the belt a little bit and enjoy life a little bit more. If you can remember back to that time period where you had a holiday season where it was normal, you can afford what you can afford, you do what you got to do, you make sure you provide for everybody, but you got to really still keep the belt a little tight, right? That period where you went from that, which was normal, to, oh shoot, I just made a good amount of money this year, and now we can kind of loosen the belt a little bit and start tapping into things that we want as opposed to just focusing on our needs. Tell me about that transition period in terms of the holidays, because you were a parent by that point. How did that feel, man? And what did you do? What was like the real moment where you were like, yeah, I can actually really start spending some money now because it's coming in?
I had hit a little bit of a low point in my life after I left the WWE. And I remember, saying to myself and the twins' mom, all the money in the world can't buy you happiness. And it's true when they say that, because it really can't. And I was very unhappy in my life at the time and, just struggling with life, period. Going through a divorce. I mean, it was rough. But I remember looking back when I was with the twins' mom, and I used to say to myself, man, It was such good times. I remember working at the post office, not really having money like that. I made money to pay the bills and stuff, but not to go out and whenever somebody wanted, something in a department store or what have you, back in the day when you could look in the window and see the mannequin with whatever clothes that they were displaying. Back then, I remember looking and wishing that I could, buy that right away. But what I would do is I would put things on layaway. When they had layaway programs back then, they don't have that now. So, but that was back then. And to be able to go to WWE, make that money, and then to be able to go into the department store and just say, okay, here's the credit card, pay for it. Boom. It was an amazing transformation. But at the same token, with all that money and all that, fame that I had, I kind of missed the old days of having to be able to work for it because you saw that little jacket in the window of the department store. And when your kids or your wife said they wanted it, but you really couldn't afford it. But then when you finally put enough money away on layaway or saved, you were able to do that. And how their face would light up when you did get them that present. And then it got to the point where the WWE, the money was coming in and you were just able to buy it with no issues, whatever they wanted. The presents got bigger and more expensive. So when you got those little things, like a little jacket or something like that, and you gave it to them, it was like, oh, that's what I'm getting? It was like it got spoiled. And I had missed those days so much of, having to work and work and work to get whatever little jacket I had to get for their mom or even, them. And they were never ungrateful, but it just felt like back then it was more appreciated, because we didn't know the finer things in life and what money could bring. We didn't know that.
That's deep. That's deep. So when you finally got to that point, it was like, bam, here it is. Wow.
Yeah, it was great. It was a great feeling. At the same time, you kind of miss the days when you can get like a little wind up toy in a department store and their faces would light up. Or you would get a Cuban zirconian type of ring that just looked good, give it to your wife or your girlfriend, and they would light up, But then as the presents got more expensive, it just didn't do that anymore.
Do you have any advice for anyone who is hitting that point in life where they're about to get their first big contract where it's going to change their life, as opposed to living check to check and struggling? They're going to be able to put some money away and eat the good. They can eat sushi now. They don't have to stick to canned tuna and all that good stuff. Do you have any advice for those folks who are about to hit that moment?
Well, I will say, enjoy where you are. Enjoy what you're doing. Enjoy what you had before all of that came in, because money's going to change you. And you could say no, but it will. It'll change you. And you don't even realize it or you don't even see it coming, but it will. And, just stay strong, stay humbled, number one. Don't let it get to your head. And when that first contract comes, put that money away. Because you have to remember, it's not going to last forever. One day that contract is going to end, and so will that money. And you don't want them to have the cards, to hold it. You want to be able to call the shots in your life.
Well said. Well said. And sage advice, folks. You're listening to a guy who has been there and done that, right? So the fact that he is here to deliver the message the way that he is, so many of you wonderful wrestlers, I love it when you reach out and say, hey, man, we listen to the show. We enjoy it, especially on the road. We like to hear what you and Devon have to say. I'm tapping into him for you. You know what I mean? You may not always be able to see Devon on your own, but I'm tapping into him for you so you can get some of this advice and you can make wise decisions, hopefully, in life. Speaking of wise decisions, WWE NXT, for my money, I think it's the best 2 hours of pro wrestling on TV today. I love the way the show is formatted. I love the way that it moves. And it feels like we're getting just high quality matches every single episode. It's like it's really competitive and exciting and what have you to see these young stars mixed in with some veterans. It's really cool. So this week's episode started off with Lash Legend and Jakara. And then the next match, Jaida Parker was in that match. And the next match, Obafemi. Really just an incredible mix of young stars who I know are going to be major players in the not too distant future. These will be, WrestleMania headliners and other pay-per-view headliners and things like that. So before we even get too specific, what are your general thoughts on the latest incarnation of NXT?
Well, I think it's great. You got Matt Bloom, you have Shawn Michaels, and Vince Russo. Now, again, not the Vince Russo from WCW, but the writer that wrote for WWE. Back when I was a producer, about 10 years ago, he was behind the scenes. People always got that mixed up. Whenever I would say, yeah, Vince Russo, told me to say this, people would be like, well, Vince Russo's back in the WWE. Not that Vince Russo. It's just a testament to what they're doing over there. They're hitting every angle they possibly can, and they're hitting home runs with it. Every curveball, every slider, they're doing freaking phenomenal over there. They're taking young talent who has never been anywhere or done anything, making them into superstars before they even get to the main roster. I just think that's incredible.
It really is. I mean, to take somebody, let's take Jaida Parker, for example. Here's a young lady who had never wrestled before. She was an NIL recruit. They bring her in. They build her from scratch, show her how they want pro wrestling to be. And she took to it like a shark to water. And she has these intangibles where she can cut a solid promo, and her presence, her body language, so confident and serious. And when the match starts and you see her hit somebody, it really looks like she's beating the hell out of them, because she has that aggression as well, which is just so impressive to see. You had said something that I thought was interesting, where you said that she reminded you of the Olympic legend, the track and field legend, FloJo. I want you to expand upon that a little bit, because I thought that was a really interesting call out, and I agree with you there.
Yeah, because FloJo back in the 80s, especially during the Olympics, was probably one of the best female athletes of that time. And I remember when she came into NXT as a recruit, she basically had the look. She had the personality. She had the full package. She really did. And she really is doing well for herself. I used to talk to her from time to time and, get an idea. She loves the business. And for someone who's never been a wrestling fan, so to speak, like diehard, or have, like you said, had any background in pro wrestling, you would never know it. You would never know it. She was just a natural. And when you find people that are naturals like that, you have to be careful, because, again, they can become your next Trish Stratus, your next China, your next big thing. So I think NXT is doing the right thing with what they're doing. They're taking care of her, and they're just blowing it out the water. Jade, keep it up. And remember, if you get out of line, I'll have to come back and put you through a table. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
You said that on the previous episode. Man, you're going to get us in trouble. You said that on a previous episode, and folks are like, oh my God, is Devon going to have to get straightened out by this Jaida Parker? Because listen, man, don't let her fool you now. I'm pretty sure she could deadlift you, Devon.
Listen, I'm not foolish. I'm not taking anybody lightly. I turn my back, she'll knock my lights out.
Shout out to Jaida Parker.
Yes, big shout out to you. Love your work, and you're really inspiring a lot of people, so keep it up.
Keep it up, indeed. That's the truth. It's really, really something, man. I really I have a lot of time for that NXT show. I think that, and I hope that the other shows, Raw and SmackDown, for if they take anything from the way NXT is being developed, the formatting, you gotta have these shows flow, man. It's just maximize your minutes and really make it matter. Now, I understand, if you have a 3-hour program, you have to build in some segments and what have you that will encourage people to, freshen up their drink, use the restroom, do whatever. That's real stuff. And I don't care what people may be offended hearing somebody say that, but that's real stuff, man. That's and in old school wrestling, that was always the case. They used to have actual intermissions where there would be a 20, 30-minute period in the middle of the card where you could get up, stretch your legs, do whatever you want. So, in modern times, they're still just delivering on action, but the same concept. I understand you got to bring people down a little bit and then build them back up. But NXT just maximizes all of their time. And it's just, you don't want to miss it because there's so much going on in a good way. So I'm really impressed with that programming. Speaking of impressive, this Bloodline Civil War is roaring again. So the latest twists and turns here, Devon, is that main event Jey Uso, he lost the Intercontinental Championship. So, Braun Breaker got it back. And now there's speculation that Jey is going to join Jimmy and Roman, who need a lot of help in going up against Solo in that new version of the Bloodline. So what are your thoughts on the Bloodline classic, so to speak, the original Bloodline, the ones? What are your thoughts on them reforming to take on this new, younger version of the Bloodline?
I think Jimmy and Roman need all the help they can get. Jay coming back, I think it'd be great. I think it'd be definitely good for business. Listen, you can't deny that what they did before the breakup worked. But then, Jay became a solo artist and really, really doing well for himself. Very happy for Jay. Very sad to see him lose the Intercontinental title. But, just because you lose something like that doesn't mean that there's not great things on the horizon, So this loss can be beneficial to him. It can make him an even bigger star. Because think about it. These three get back together again. That's going to set off a world of love.
It really will. I know the fans will love it. And there's so many miles you're going to get out of that. So the question is, are we going to get this at Survivor Series or not? The Civil War with the Bloodline. And really, where does The Rock factor in all this? Is he picking a side or what? What's going to happen? So many questions. Where's Paul Heyman? That's another question that needs to be answered. So it's crazy, too, because my bodyguard, she keeps saying that. Where is he? And it's like, you're not even a wrestling fan. What are you talking about? Well, you got me watching this stuff. I want to know, where's Heyman? Where's Heyman? So, Paulie, if you're listening, Paulie, there are people out here who want to know where the hell you're at, man, because you haven't been on TV in a long time, since the summertime, and folks are worried about you, Paulie. So, just so you know, you're grabbing the casuals just by not even being there, which is just fascinating to me. But hey, whatever works, whatever gets you to the dance, so to speak. But really exciting times with that storyline.
I'm looking forward to see where The Rock goes.
Where would you put him?
Well, I think Sikoa and those guys, I think they would need that help to push them to that next level. If they got The Rock on their side and you got the Usos and Roman fighting against that, that could be like your story that you're telling, where the Usos are going to get over again with Roman this time, and they're all going to be on the same page. I think it'd be a great idea if that happens. I just think that The Rock being with Sikoa and those guys, and Jacob Fatu, I think that's where he should probably be, because that they would need that next rub to bounce up. Now they get that, forget it.
I agree. And it's funny. Solo is doing a phenomenal job, in my opinion. I really am high on his transition and his growth. It's not an easy spot to be in, to replace Roman, so to speak.
Right. That's why I said Jay losing that title was probably good, because, again, there's so many options where he can go now. Him getting back with the Usos and putting, helping Roman in them. But again, The Rock going over to Sikoa's team, that's even better, because it can help put those guys in the league in itself. And again, they would need that. So if Jay did get back with Jimmy and Roman, then they would need something big on the other side to counter that. What better counter than The Rock?
Would you bring Sami Zayn back into the fold? Would you have him join up with the Usos and Roman and reforming that bloodline?
No. And I say that respectfully, because I think Sammy served his purpose the first time. With the whole Usi thing and, him getting over with them. Sammy needed that rub, and he got it. Now I think Sammy's doing a good job on his own. Sammy doesn't need the bloodline. Sammy doesn't need to go on there with Roman and Jimmy. Let him do it by himself. Let him go out and take what he got from them the first time and just ride the wave. I think Sammy can do better on his own. I'm not saying that he can't make appearances and come back here and there with those guys, help out when needed, and still have those funny moments. But I don't think he needs to be embedded into the family again with Roman and the Usos. I think let Jay coming back would be the big pop because that's what everybody's waiting for, and let the Usos get back together and maybe take those titles um, from the two guys in Sikoa's group. So I think that's the deal right there. Let the Usos go back as being a tag team. Jay's doing great on his own, but at the same token, to put them back together and to do that, I think that'd be great. Listen, there's no denying that Jay has proven himself to maybe hold that world title one day. And I hope he gets that because I think he deserves it, all the hard work that he's putting into things. But that can come later down the line, but you don't want it to be too long because then he loses his steam as a singles competitor. So, with him being in the bloodline, having a singles title match, that could probably hurt too. Because remember, Roman is the guy that feels like he should have the title and go. So to have Jay get the title, that might cause dissension.
Great point. That's just a whole new chapter in that story. And then, of course, you can run back Jay and Jimmy eventually. When they finally mixed it up in the ring with each other, they really didn't have the match that we expected them to have. Let's say it like that. They definitely left a lot of
Right.
meat on that bone. So the second time around might work out. You know what I mean? So that's a
Mhm.
great point. That's a great point. Something really interesting happened this week, Monday Night Raw, where we saw the return of Lillian Garcia, the legendary announcer who everyone remembers Lillian and that voice and all that good stuff there. Always loved Lillian. But she's back replacing Samantha Irvin, who, pound for pound is really the best commentator or the best ring announcer in the game today. And such a beloved and wonderful addition to WWE. She really did a good job of helping enhance and get over so many talents just by announcing them the way that she does. So, what are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on Sam leaving and then bringing back Lillian as a result?
I thought it was great. I was with Lillian during the Attitude Era, and and all of that, and she did a great job then. So what a perfect fit to come back and to take Sam's place. Sam is going to be missed. She was loved by everybody. I don't think there was a bad thing ever said about her. People loved her. She really did a great job. I remember before I even met her, I started following her on Instagram, and I wrote her and I said, I think you're doing a fantastic job. I hope one day you get to announce me and Bubba coming into the ring. I think you announcing is fantastic. She was like, "Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that coming from you." And she does a great thing. And then with her coming in and basically doing what she was doing, I thought it was just great. And then me and Bubba went to Monday Night Raw and SmackDown where we did the draft and she got to announce us. I remember right before we went out, I said, Samantha, I said, here we go. I said, I'm not wrestling, but you're still announcing Bubba and myself. And she goes, yeah, I can't wait. And she did a fantastic job. Thank you so much, Sam, for that.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. And I was poking a little fun there online, saying, "Oh, look at this! Sam's not there, and look at this. Raw is an even more exciting show this week than it was last week." And people try to jump all over me about it and what have you. The point that I was making is that she has contributed so much positively that even in the wake of her leaving, she's leaving the product better off than it was when she took that microphone over. So, folks, keep that in mind.
Absolutely. Take nothing away from her. She did a fantastic job. And, good. It's great to see Lillian back in that role, but Samantha's going to be missed.
Absolutely, and we see so many of the wrestlers are talking about that. Um, it's amazing that they really took to the way that she announces and really feel that she had enhanced them. It's true. I mean, Chelsea Green, the way that she announced Chelsea Green coincides with Chelsea Green's growth and moving into really a marketable name in that company at this point. And this is Chelsea's what, third or fourth go at WWE. You know, she was a tough enough girl and all that, right?
I mean, again, it's just one of those things where you're just happy for the talent. Things are going so good now in the company. Wrestling in WWE is on a high. Thank you, Triple H, for all your contributions and what you've done to get it to that level. From NXT to SmackDown to Monday Night Raw. I mean, the Paul Levesque era is here, and I hope it doesn't go away anytime soon.
Yeah, we got plenty more to do here, Triple H. Okay, we're going into the holiday season, so plenty more twists and turns and surprises that we need to get into. So yeah, let's keep this train going, brother, and see what more you got going on there.
Mm-hmm.
Another interesting thing happened in the wrestling world is the fact that one of your old buddies, The Undertaker, you know, he has his new podcast out, and one of his recent guests is Donald Trump. And he advertised that and took pictures with Trump. And, you know, so many people online were complaining about this. And I want to get your take on this, Devon, because here we have Donald Trump. Regardless of how anyone feels about his politics, this is a guy who the WWE wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for his investment in the company, especially at critical times in the 80s when the company wasn't doing so well financially. Trump stepped up to the plate.
Now, Duke, let me ask,
Yep, please, go ahead.
when you say they weren't doing so well in the 80s, at what point? Are you talking about WrestleMania 5 and 4?
Yeah, when they had to go to Caesar's Palace, you know, and do WrestleManias on Trump properties. Part of that, he was giving them a big deal, a big break, so they weren't paying as much to rent out the venue. And that was because he was already friends with Vince and he was already investing in the WWF at the time. So he was essentially helping Vince out. Uh, Bear in mind, WrestleMania 2 bankrupted the McMahon family. They lost a lot of money on that deal. Now, thank God for WrestleMania 3, Hogan versus Andre, which helped them get back on their feet and kept the company going. But there were some tough times after that. So again, Trump providing a venue where they can hold WrestleMania, they're not spending as much. So that means that they can just make more money. He's been very, very helpful, and that's part of the reason why he's in the Hall of Fame today, because that's how important he is to WWE historically. So because of that, I'm not surprised if any wrestler is a quote unquote supporter of Trump. They know the guy. They've known the guy for years. They've made money because of the guy. They probably made money with the guy. You never know what happens behind the scenes too. So I don't bat an eye to something like that. But so many of these fans are so unreasonable where they feel as if folks like yourself, Devon, because they're fans of your wrestling character, they feel like from an ideological standpoint, a political standpoint, you must agree with whatever they believe in, and that's it. And if you don't, then the hell with you. You know what I mean? They don't even know you, but this is how they feel. I want to get your take on that. Do you feel that that's an unreasonable position to put legends like yourself in, where you have to align with every fan that you don't even know?
Absolutely. Listen, do what you want to do. Say what you want to say. As long as it's not hurting anybody. If you want to vote for Donald Trump, vote for Donald Trump. If you want to vote for Kamala Harris, vote for her. It should never matter. I think when you start talking politics and things like that, it gets out of hand. And there's no reason for it. These fans think because they see you on TV and whatever, they think that they can run your life, and you just can't. And I don't think they understand that fully. So me personally, I think these fans need to chill out and stop taking this stuff so seriously. And then they might say, well, you know, it's our lives that are at stake and it's nothing about, okay, if the first person wants Donald Trump to go into office, then why are you criticizing him for wanting that? even if you don't believe with his political views and stuff, you should not be sitting up there getting mad at a person because he decided he wanted to vote for Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. You should not be mad at either one of those people. Listen, you vote for who you want to vote for. He votes for who he wants to vote for, and that's it. End of story. Leave it alone. May the best man or woman wins.
Well said. Well said. I agree 100%. And again, I understand, folks. Believe me, you're talking to somebody who has worked in government on various levels, going all the way back to a high school kid who's just interning. So the funny and ironic part about that is a lot of the stuff that you're discussing, this is my life. You know, I've campaigned, and a lot of the people that you talk about, I have met personally. Some of them I know personally. I understand the stakes. I understand the stakes wholeheartedly. But I think what you folks have to also understand is that we live in a society, and to assume and to believe that stars who you watch on TV have to align with you is just, it's unreasonable. Let me just say that. It is unreasonable because everyone has a reason why they vote the way that they do, why they believe what they believe. And there's a way we can go about having those discussions. There's a way that we can go about educating one another and who knows, maybe even helping folks transition into new ideas. But certainly, you know, cussing somebody out because they interviewed Donald Trump is not the way to go. Damn it. If Donald Trump wants to come on this show, I'd invite him. Certainly Kamala Harris is invited too. I mean, Devon, would you have a problem with either one of them coming on the show for an interview?
Absolutely not. I would want to ask them, when am I going to be rich again?
Exactly. Right. I'm with that all the way.
There's one thing I didn't know, and I don't know why this wasn't in the documentary, but I had no idea that Vince and them were bankrupt after WrestleMania 2. I had no idea. That
Yeah.
wasn't in the documentary. We knew that WrestleMania 2 very risky because of the three locations, Chicago, Los Angeles, and New York. They were really, really taking a chance there, but I had no idea they went bankrupt.
Yeah. Let me tell you how bad it was. They were living in a trailer park after that.
What?
The McMahon family lost their house and had to live in a trailer park in a trailer for almost a year because they had put so much into WrestleMania 2 and the returns were not what they needed it to be. And so they were in bad shape. The company almost went under. Like legitimately, if WrestleMania 3 didn't do what it did, I don't think that's everything that happened after that would have happened. I mean, the WWF would have been out of business.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of history right there, which again, to think that somebody like Trump, who was already rich and who had the means to invest and help out and bail out and all that good stuff, I just don't see why you would expect a wrestler who knows that history, experienced that history, or knows Trump, what have you. Why wouldn't they support the guy? Like there's logic behind that. I get it. You know what I mean? And we don't know what people know politically and what they don't know. And, most people walking down the street will tell you, I'm not political. I'm not political. So it's like, why am I going to put that on the shoulders of a pro wrestler? You know what I mean? It's just not reasonable. I don't think it's reasonable. I think it's silly. And I think we all need to grow up, quite frankly. So I'll leave that there.
I agree.
Yeah. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we have the WWE, and it's going to be NXT this time. They are returning to the ECW Arena, which is not the biggest venue in the world, but it certainly is historic. One of the places that the Dudley boys built, so to speak. What are your thoughts on WWE running the ECW Arena again?
Well, I wouldn't say the Dudley Boys built the ECW Arena. I would say we helped build the arena and the nostalgia thing that's gone on there over the years. I think it's a great thing that WWE is going over there. It gives those kids an idea to know where, the Attitude Era, how it was formed, and where it was formed and how it was made. And in front of those Philadelphia fans, those fans are the most rabid fans I think I've ever experienced. They will tell you how they feel in a heartbeat. You mess up, God forbid, they will let you know. They used to say, if you can make it, if you go to Madison Square Garden, if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere, which is true. But I think right on the tail end of that is Philadelphia and the ECW Arena. If you can make it there, you can make it anywhere. Because just how important the ECW Arena was to pro wrestling that nobody really knew back then. And now we realize it because of what has happened and transpired, during that. But it's a great thing for these kids to go there and to actually feel what it was like to be at the ECW Arena back in the 90s and the things that we had done and accomplished and made history there. Could you imagine going there and somebody creating history for themselves? You might as well just tag them all right on the building. Put them right on the building and,
Yeah.
yep, they're part of history now. They're with everybody else, from the Dudleys to the Gangsters to the Eliminators to Shane Douglas to Bam Bam Bigelow, Ravishing Rick Rude. I mean, the list goes on of the stars that came out of the ECW Arena. Now, if they make history there during NXT, you're going to add their names right to the list.
Well said. Well said. So definitely good luck to all of the wonderful young people in the WWE who are going to have a chance to make their own memories at the ECW Arena. It's special. It's definitely special, and we'll be rooting on whatever you got going on there, because that venue, the fact that it's still standing is so important. So many of the old venues no longer exist. So that's a piece of wrestling history that we definitely have to foster and continue to encourage, so it sticks around. Till the end of our times, at least. That would be nice.
Right.
Certainly, shout out. Speaking of shout out, we got a few important birthday shout outs. And first and foremost, again, thank you to Rodney Mack. Rodney Mack heard what you said about him and said, I love you, Devon. So that was really nice. I don't know if did you see that on Instagram yet? Did you see that, Devon?
No, I have not seen it yet.
Well, he definitely felt that your words about him were heartfelt, and he appreciated that. So definitely, again, shout out to Rodney Mack. Good dude there. We have a young lady who, she was the first female to get a scholarship to wrestle coming out of the state of Mississippi. And, at the high school she was at, she was one of the first people to actually be part of the first generation of a female wrestling team. So she's currently a freshman at the University of Mount Olive, and she just celebrated her birthday. Her name is Kayleigh Savage, a.k.a. the Bugg, Kayleigh Savage. So I definitely wanted to give her a special happy birthday, Kayleigh, and wish she and her other fellow wrestling teammates over at the University of Mount Olive good luck this season and beyond. But WWE Hall of Famer Devon Dudley, what do you have to say to Bugg, Kayleigh Savage?
Well, you said today's her birthday. Happy birthday, Kayleigh. I hope you have many more. And I hope you've enjoyed your trip around the sun and enjoy many more. And remember, keep testifying and get the tables.
That's right. That's right. Certainly. And then we're going to get a little personal with this one here, Devon. We just had, and they're only 2 days apart, their birthdays, which is just crazy. Every year, it's always crazy. My mother and my sister both celebrated a birthday last week. So, what do you have to say to the family here, both celebrating a birthday in October?
Well, again, congratulations to the family. Congratulations to mom and big sis. Let me ask you a question. Who got beat up? Did you beat your sister up, or did she beat you up? Who practiced wrestling moves on who?
Oh man, you're gonna get me in trouble. Listen, now. First of all, she's my younger sister, so let's make sure she might want to be big sis, but no, I'm the one in charge here. Damn it! but you're gonna get me in trouble. She loves to reminisce about me practicing the figure four leg lock and all kind of other wrestling moves on her when we were kids, and I thought those memories had been suppressed and disappeared in the thin air. But every now and then, especially over the holidays, ironically, if something she doesn't like, I said something. Remember that time when you did this to me and you put me in a headlock and all this, and you made me afraid of the Undertaker and all this. So yeah, it was me doing the wrestling moves to her and then begging her not to tell my mom.
Well, Mom knows now. Regardless of how old you are, you still can get your butt whooped. You know how that goes.
Oh, listen, I know how that goes 100%. And listen, I don't want no part of it. My mom, she was a law enforcement officer for 37 years. And trust me, if she could take you down, Devon. And listen, she's barely 5 feet tall, but that was her reputation. She was well respected and appreciated. And everyone knew if she had to hem you up, you didn't want it, brother. She'd get you before you even knew it was happening. So,
look, you ain't trying to get me in trouble. I know when to keep my mouth shut. You ain't get me to respond on that. Nice try.
Yeah, just nothing to see here.
Yeah, nice try. You ain't getting me to respond. Next question.
That's right. Nothing to see here, folks. Just move along. It's funny. What's going on with your next grouping at the wrestling school there, Devon? How's everything going with the training and what have you?
It's going good. We had a really, really good day yesterday. We were working on heat, getting heat on people because, a lot of people learn as time goes on, but if you give them something to do and they're writing it down, then they're practicing it in the ring. It kind of helps them to develop that type of talent. And that was really, really good yesterday. And I'm going to start doing more things like that to move forward as opposed to just trying to practice the moves and psychology. You need to practice everything in general when you're doing it. That's why I say it's important to find a wrestling school that where somebody has been somewhere and has done something. Because if you're just opening up a warehouse and putting a ring inside of there, when the guy has never made it in the business himself, but yet he thinks he could tell you how to make it, it's never going to work. Because if he couldn't make it, how the hell are you going to make it?
Well said. Well said. Forgive me. They're doing some work outside, so you may hear a little craziness in the background there. But well said. I agree. That's been my point of contention with this concept of soft ground wrestling over in Uganda. This group of kids who are practicing wrestling moves, and the videos are being distributed on YouTube, and it looks cool because it's different. I mean, they're throwing each other around in dirt. They call it soft ground. They've been trying to get somebody to buy them a ring, and they did a whole GoFundMe and raised a whole bunch of money and what have you. Come to find out, the guy who's running it is some kind of international crime boss. So that's a whole other issue with the scheme of soliciting GoFundMe money and getting it out of people, and maybe not using the money for what you originally said you're going to use it for. But let me table him for a second. Let me just focus on what these kids are doing. I call them performers. I say they're practicing wrestling moves, but they're not pro wrestlers. They've never been properly trained. They're not using proper equipment. They don't even have a real ring. So how are you going to call yourself a pro wrestler? It's just, that's not the way it works. If I boil some water, that doesn't make me a chef.
Exactly.
And I may not even done that right. So, it's disrespectful, quite frankly, to the industry and to folks like yourself, Devon, who you gave your life to this business as a wrestler. You're a Hall of Famer. And now you're giving back even more as a trainer and a mentor and someone who is setting up the next generation for success safely, by the way. So for me to just throw myself around in dirt and film it and then call myself a wrestler, does that even make sense?
Exactly.
So
you have a lot of them out there that's like that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's how they get themselves hurt. I mean, look at the kid. I know we talked about New Jack in our early episode where he had that whole mass transit situation. That kid wasn't properly trained, right?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, that's
So
the way I look.
We can't have that.
I mean, he passed away a couple of years after the trial. Him and his dad passed. Yeah, they both passed away. So, was never a good thing to hear. And
Yeah.
I still get asked to this day about the mass transit deal because I was a part of it. But it was
Wow.
something that I wasn't proud to be a part of. It was, it was very gruesome, and I would hope that it would go away, but unfortunately, it doesn't.
Well said. What won't go away is the fact that anyone out there, if you're interested in learning how to become a pro wrestler and being trained properly, especially by one of the greatest of all times, one of the most successful pro wrestling schools in existence, the proof is in the pudding. You take a look at who's been there and where they are today, and you see it. The proof is in the pudding. Devon Wrestling Academy. How can they get in touch with you, Devon, and check out Devon Wrestling Academy?
Well, they can go on Instagram on Testify Devon or Devon Dudley Academy. They can go on Twitter and Facebook as well. And, if you're looking forward to coming in and want to test and see how you are, sign up, come on down. We'll take you and make you what you want to be. So come on down.
That's right. And if they want to keep up with you, especially if they want to get more information about the wonderful event coming up this Sunday, the launch of the Natura Devon Dudley cigar line there, what's the best way they can check that out?
Well, they can check that out on Testify Devon. They could on Instagram, Testify Devon on Twitter. I'm really looking forward to it. And it is, going to be a happening. It's at Fairway Cigar Lounge in Melbourne, Florida. And it starts at 3 p.m. We have a contest going on as well, a Halloween contest. The winner gets $500. And we also have a car show going on there as well. So come on out. It's going to be a fun event. It's going to be the biggest event, I think, for Halloween going on in Melbourne, Florida. And again, you get to try my new line of cigars coming out.
That's right. That's right. Definitely check it out, folks. If you or any of your loved ones partake in a fine cigar, then you definitely want to check out Devon's event there. It's definitely going to be special. Of course, folks, Duke Loves Wrestling on Facebook, on Twitter, DukeLovesWrestling@gmail.com. Let me know what you think of the show. Send in your questions. We really appreciate the fact that you're enjoying what we're doing here. It's a different thing, especially once again to hear Devon talk about life and provide some insights on things that he wishes he could have done differently, or things that he's learned throughout his journey. And if we can help any of you young wrestlers, or even wrestlers who experience, if we can help you make some adjustments in your career and in your life to set you up for success, then that makes this show worth it. Certainly. So, without further ado, let's get the Devon Dudley word of the week. What do you got for us this week, brother?
Yeah, okay. No matter how hard it gets, never quit. A man's greatest strength is his determination to keep going. Testify.
Take it away, Tony Schiavone.
Mr. Tony Schiavone, and we're desperately out of time on Duke Loves Wrestling.